What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of High Mythology, the show where we get higher than the severed vampiric head of one of those creepy Polish vampire ladies that severs their head and comes and flies after you, and tell you guys silly stories from mythology and folklore. Tonight, we will be following through on our Polish poll. Woo! A lot of you put in some requests and put the word out there, and the winner was Chorts, Chernobogs, and other Slavic demons. So we're gonna kind of give you guys. We didn't really count it, you know. We're not top teners, I guess you wouldn't say.
No.
No. So I think we ended up with like 7,
Mm-hmm.
7 or 8. But there's so much more in Polish mythology, so.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we'll be revisiting them to do an entire episode on Polish vampires at some point, and probably other Polish demons and gods and things like that. The Slavic lore that kind of went throughout Poland was pretty awesome because it's tied into that whole region, but their stuff is got this really, like, if you're a fan of the Witcher video games. You would know the vibe, that like dark gray, rainy day kind of vibe that they seem to have that to a lot of their creatures, where it's all.
I feel like it's a lot like England.
Yeah.
Dark and dreary.
Dark and dreary, yeah.
With
and
the occasional one day of sunshine
yeah,
of the year.
Yeah. But it's all it's also closely tied in with Russian and Czech mythology.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I guess we'll let Kimbo take it away with the first of the crazy creatures.
The only one that I was going to talk about, sorry.
Yeah, the only one she's got for us, the Rusolka?
Yeah, the Rusolka.
Rusolka.
So the Rusolka are these water nymphs that live in the rivers along the Polish and Germanian border. And it's always misty there. Seems to be a lot of bad voodoo shit around that area. But these are women who were drowned by men. And then so whenever travelers come by or just unsuspecting people go by, they drag them into the water by seducing them, tickling them, whatever.
There's a lot of tickling in Polish mythology. I do think that's kind of funny. There's a lot of creatures that's like, he'll come at you in the night and he'll tickle the shit out of you.
Yeah, it's said that if you tickle someone to death because they can't breathe in between the laughing and the shit. So that's when they take advantage and drag them under the water. And then they're dead.
That'd be such a shitty way to go, to tickled to death.
Yeah, it would be.
Stop. No, really, stop. Ah, no, stop.
So yeah, that's the Rusolka.
The Rusolka.
Water nymphs that drown men.
Drowned men, yeah. The vengeful spirits of drowned women coming back. Which apparently, from some of the stories we were seeing when we were researching it, apparently drowning chicks was just like a popular thing to do. So
yeah, I guess so.
It seemed like the way they were talking about it is like, that woman back-talked, so they drowned her. Now she's a Rusolka.
With drowning too, like there wasn't a lot of evidence to prove that somebody did something, rather than just saying, oh, this person went into the water and then they drowned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then they skip the trial and shit.
And also, too, from what I was reading about a lot of these, also is that drowning was a major cause of death in Poland.
Oh yeah,
like the rocky coast, raging rivers, whatever
Allegedly.
It might be. Like, yeah, there was some drownings, because even there's some other creatures that and we won't really get into any of them today, but there are. Other creatures, a bunch of different varieties of creatures that are basically representing just the fact that people drown all the time. And it's easier to say, like, no, he just got pulled into the water by a drowner. Or by this fucking creature.
The Rusolka came. I saw her. She was so hot.
She was so hot.
I wanted to go say hi.
I wanted to go say hi. Yeah.
My sister slapped me.
Yeah. I wonder if that's what got Hercules, homie, in their previous episode.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Sirens,
he thought
mermaids.
it was a nymph. It's like, that was a Rusolka.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Sorry, it was a wrong episode. We're having some bleed over.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So yeah, next I will be talking about the chort. The chort is and if you
Spell that out real quick. CHORT.
CHORT, or if you're getting Polish with it, CZART, or if you're getting Czech and Slavic with it, CERT.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's basically considered to be a demon. It's a big part of where the perception of the devil comes from. It's another one of those where, like, pictures of the chort were basically turned into what the devil would look like. It's a horn-hoofed man with a pig face and bull horns. And he's also he's supposed to be, in some later myths, they claim that he was the son of Chernobog and the Slavic goddess Mera.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he also looks a lot like Pan, which is another interesting
cross
thing.
between Pan and the devil.
Yeah, cross between Pan and the devil.
But with a pig face.
But with a pig face, yeah. And they're known to live in woods.
Is that how you know he's coming?
They're huge as fuck.
Oh.
Too, so that's also a lot of times how you know he's coming. Like it looks like he's holding a baby. He's holding a full-grown man.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Now they're like, 10, 12 feet tall.
Jesus.
Big-ass fucking demon monsters that patrol the woods. And then above them, I guess in that same kind of class of demon, you have the Fiend, which is similar, but the Fiend has a third eye.
Oh.
That it said if it looks at you with its third eye, it can control you and hypnotize you, basically.
Does it usually keep it closed?
Yeah.
And
and it has giant deer antlers. And if you look up pictures of chorts or fiends, you'll see they look very similar. And most of the pictures you'll see come from the Witcher video game series, because that's kind of where they got their big thing from. Not a lot of people.
Not a lot of people.
Not a lot of people know or knew about that before. You know, like you'd catch them coming up in like D&D. I'm sure some D&D buffs out there. You know what chorts were, and other characters like that. But for the most part, chorts and fiends were not big mythological creatures. But it's I like them because they look burly as fuck. Just complete honesty there. Like, I instantly fell in love with chorts and with fiends because they just look like burly fucking beasts of the woods.
That's who you'd want on your team, not against you.
Yes. And while we're on the topic of beasts of the woods, our next creature is the Leshin, which is a Polish god of the forest.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're another one where you see them in different ways. They're typically big. They're very big, very tall. Some of them have, Sasquatch size. Some of them are actually described, some of the descriptions are actually basically Sasquatch. Like, it's a big, hairy man of the woods.
Wow.
Who doesn't like you if you fuck around in the woods.
Don't burn his woods
down. Don't fuck around in the woods. Other versions.
Can you pee on his tree?
Pee on his tree, yeah. I wouldn't know. He might get pissed, because he also is, in most of them, he's part tree. And he controls, you've probably seen them before in different video games and media. Most of the time when you see the Leshin, they go with the more demonic looking version, which is where it has almost a deer skull face and antlers, but they're made out of wood. And its arms are tree parts, and it can stick them in the ground.
Sounds like a Wendigo.
Yeah, very similar to the way the Wendigo looks.
Interesting.
Except for it's made out of tree. They're popular. They're super popular in video games. They've popped up everywhere from, The Witcher, which is going to get referenced a lot in this because of all the Polish creatures they had. But also, you've got, I believe, Elder Scrolls games had them. Let's see. What was that one? Dragon Age. Those games had them. They're typically big tree-like fuckers that bury their arms into the ground and poke you in the butt with tentacles. Yeah, yeah, because their arms are roots. So, and also, yeah, they can move around.
Do some shit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it
They
suck
own
to
the
be like
forest,
going out
yeah.
into the woods and you pee on the wrong fucking tree and it's like turns out it's like a lesson leg.
Yeah.
It just
And
turns
then you
around and
get-
just swats you.
Yeah.
The fuck is that?
You get a root right up your butt.
Oh god, impaled up the ass by a fucking root. Mm.
Yeah. And they also go by Leshy.
Oh.
So
Yeesh.
Leshy.
The
But I like
or not.
Leshin better because it sounds way more cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. But they'll summon wolves and bears and change their size and height, and they like to lead travelers astray and abduct children, which they share with the chort because they're just that nice. They help feed the chorts.
Oh, well, it's part of its fucking forest family.
Yeah, it's
Of
his
course.
forest family, yeah. I like, too, that a lot of these are just like, yeah, they are just a big-ass forest family. So it's like, oh, yeah. We'll kill the children, but I'm sharing them with the chort and the fiend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get the good parts like the
I
liver.
get the good parts, the kid liver.
High in protein.
Yeah. Okay.
Great source of fiber.
Great source of fiber. Everyone knows kid liver is good for fiber.
Mm-hmm.
It's got all them stem cells. So next we're going to go into one who's this guy is actually it's very interesting because he's probably one of the most, if not the most famous, like Polish Slavic deity, but he may not have actually been worshipped ever by pagan era Slavs. Yeah. And this is, of course, the big Russian man with the hammer from the TV show American Gods. The devil from Fantasia.
Oh, yeah. Darkness.
The Black Darkness himself, Chernobog. And Chernobog...
What the fuck you say? He wasn't even fucking actually worshipped?
Yeah, there's he wasn't even actually, and I'll get into that too here in a second.
Sorry.
But yeah, he's not even the time period that he was created doesn't seem to add up, basically.
I see.
And so Chernobog was the complete representation of darkness, and he represented death. He would take the souls to the underworld, cancer, cold, pain, hurt, bad feelings, anguish, all of those things were Chernobog. He was the darkness.
We're just going to blame you for everything?
Yeah. And his counterpart was a god called Beelbog, or Beelbog. I could be pronouncing it wrong. But he was basically supposed to be the light. Beelbog. And the light, happiness, good feelings. He didn't get as popular in modern times as Chernobog. Well, I guess you could say that. You could say
everyone needed to blame their fucking pains on something, so of course they only remember Chernobog.
Well, and they made Chernobog. They gave Chernobog the Chort treatment and the fiend treatment too, where they decided at some point that he also had wings like a bat and fucking giant head of horns.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they made him scary. And Beelbog, I guess, did get something because he basically looks like God or Jesus. Like the way they drew him, just, old man with a big gray beard and a shining halo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like God.
Yeah. But Chernobog and Beelbog were constantly locked in a struggle for the souls of humans and for the world itself. And it was said, like, if Chernobog ever took over, the world would fall to darkness. And so Beelbog was always there to fight him. And they represented, the night and day, good and bad. But what I was getting into earlier is those aren't any of the normal statutes of Slavic mythology. Like I'm sure, as you can tell from most of the other like things we've got into, those don't fit for their gods, being of pure darkness and pure light. And it's because that it's actually the first time you see it come up, you see Chernobog and Beelbog come up, is around, I think it's around 1300. And it's a guy talking about what the pagan Slavs believed, who is a Christian monk.
Ah, that explains a lot more.
And he's also talking about it from a perspective where it's questioned whether or not he talked to sources at all, or if he just went to the area and sat down and started making up stuff and wrote a book. Because no other sources around there from that time at all reference Chernobog or Beelbog at all. Instead, it's the actual deities. Like if you look up Polish gods or Slavic gods, you'll see the main list is all gods like Morana, Perun, Daysbog, Svarog, and they're all more balanced. And they were actually the gods that people supposedly worshipped during the pagan times.
I see.
And so the fact that also the same guy who wrote was the first one to write about Chernobog and Beelbog, the fact that he also didn't reference any of those gods was what made people believe that he probably just
made that shit up.
He might not have even went to the area. He might have just sat in a hotel room and just made some shit up. And because it's very clearly to like he's talking about God and the devil. Like that's his thing.
They're just trying to bring it in.
Yeah, and most of the other sources that you'll see pop up are actually, they pop up from later. And I found that insanely interesting because I thought that he was like the OG.
I did too.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, shit.
Yeah, I didn't know that, like, when I looked it up, they were like, when I was looking up, the actual sources, people were like,
him.
no, this is, like, these are the gods, like gods of the forest and shit. And, like, they'll get you if you go astray, but they'll help you if you're getting fucked. Kind of like the Rusalka. Like they'll get you if you're a dude who's fucking out there trying to drown chicks.
Yeah.
But if you're a chick who's out there being drowned, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're still creepy. They'll still let you know, don't you fucking come around here. But they'll drown that asshole who was just trying to fuck with you.
Laugh at you. Yeah.
But yeah. So that's a little overcap right there on the Chernobog Beelbog situation. The next one we're going to get into is Skarbnik the Treasurer, and he's an interesting one because he actually has some type of basis in like a human form, and so he's another demon from Polish folklore. Who is possibly like, he's a weird one because he's also somewhat benevolent. He helps people as much as more than he hurts them, actually. He doesn't really fit on that list for that reason because he's more of a helper, but he's still a fucking creepy dude.
He still fucks with you.
Yeah. And he's a coal mining creature with a human-esque form, who was a former miner, who was completely obsessed with his work, and so he pled with God when he died to get to stay in the mines.
Okay.
And they decided that he could.
He pled with God.
Yeah. And so this...
So another...
Yeah, this one is from the folklore.
Okay.
Side. This is from Post. Like, he's a coal miner, so they wouldn't have even known coal. I just thought it was an interesting one because he's one that's still, there's still also people who believe in the miner community.
Okay.
But basically, they decided he could stay in the mines, but not in his body. He became the treasurer, Skarbenik. And he's basically a tall, bearded man with a giant lantern. And he goes around the mines observing. And if someone whistles, he'll show up and may punch you in the face. Or he might punch someone else in the face. So if someone's trying to start something, you whistle, he's either going to show up and punch you or the other guy. Yeah. And it's also said that if you're too loud or noisy or you're just being an asshole, he might show up and hit you with his lamp. But the cool thing is that, and this is where people, like where the legend comes from, and people who have seen, who talk about having seen it, is that before coal mine collapses, he'll show up to miners and flicker his lamp in the dark.
It's not just the power going
and
out.
it'll let them know to run away. Yeah.
It's not just the power going out, guys.
Yeah, it's just a flicker.
The flicker is fine.
But there's miners who say that they've seen it. Yeah. And then for our final little Polish demon here, and this is going to be a little tease to get us into some Polish stuff in the future, because this is one of many varieties of Polish vampire, which we will end up doing a whole thing about.
There's so many of them.
There's so many. Yeah.
So many.
But Striga or Strigs mainly often appeared in the form of a ghastly woman or a black bird. Or
she just come out a fart.
Yeah, just a gassy woman. Yeah. Yeah. And a Strigan is a male equivalent. Once they decided that there were too many female monsters around.
It's always a woman that's fucking shit up. She's gonna kill everyone.
Yeah. And so Strigas or Strigs were people that were born with 2 sets of teeth, 2 souls, and 2 hearts. And such individuals were banished, and they quickly died, typically, unable to cope with the new conditions. Mainly because they're talking about, when they say that, they're talking about literally throwing babies out into the woods because they were born with 2 hearts or 2 sets of teeth or things like that. Because that was the big definer, was the 2 sets of teeth. Yeah. And another crazy thing is...
I guess you'd notice if it was on your nipple. Shit. Oh, God.
Well, the crazy thing is it's they think a lot of the idea came from them seeing baby skulls where their teeth both sets of teeth are still growing. So it looks like they have 2 sets of teeth. So they're like, it's a demon, but it's just the way it normally looks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I knew some people who had, like, their baby teeth were out and then, like, their adult teeth were growing on the outside before the baby teeth got pushed out.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts.
Uh-huh.
So that's it, guys. If you get born like that, expect to be thrown out into the woods as a baby.
Baby, yeah. And then it said that after they were thrown out and they would die, one soul would leave well, I guess they wouldn't die. One soul would leave the body, and that was supposed to be the soul of the human side, which would go to the afterlife. And the other soul remained in the body, taking revenge on people for all the wrongs they had done. And that's when it would grow into that ghastly monster with fucking sharp teeth, sharp claws.
All you had to do was fart it out.
Mm-hmm. Good gas monster, yeah. And then, they would drink blood. But the one difference between them and vampires is they would also eat your insides.
Oh, fuck.
So they would drink all your blood and then they would eat all of your insides.
It just sounds terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I would laugh at such a thing.
Yeah. And they said the only way to get them was to burn their bodies or pierce their hearts with a wooden nail.
A wooden nail.
Mm-hmm.
A nail.
Yeah. Well, basically like a steak. Yeah,
so I just have to grab a a twig real quick and sharpen it for a minute.
Yep. Vampire rules, man. Sharp steak. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah. But also they were very monstrous, so they said that it was very hard to catch a strig like that.
Animal-like aggression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They still have 42 still living in the wild today.
42 still remain in the wild. Yeah, it's
The Lechen take care of them.
Yeah, the Lechen. Or the Chorts. The fiends out there.
They all take care of each other. Evil takes care of evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, folks, that's this week's Saturday Chort. Oh, wrong button.
It's over already.
It's over. It was so short. I'm fiending for more.
Bad joke.
Bad joke. Yeah, that deserves another.
Yeah. Give another one for yourself.
I would like to come out and formally apologize for that last joke. Yeah. That was it, everybody. Thank you so much. Our sources for this were mainly just stuff we've been reading around. The internet. We used a lot of the internet. Discover a Crow. Or Discover a Cow? DiscoverACow.com. Let's see. There were a couple more. Britannica.
It says Discover Krakow.
Discover Krakow. That makes more sense. Discover a cow? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But
I YouTubed my shit for the Rusalka.
Yeah.
There's some good shit on there about them.
Some good stuff. Look forward to more. We're going to be doing another Polish one just because our runner-up got a lot of love too. So we got to do that dragon. Dragon of Krakow. Krakow! Yeah. Krakow.
Calls it the Dragon of Krakow.
Dragon of Krakow. Yeah. And yeah. And I hope you guys enjoyed this.
Comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Love us.
Love us. Give us love.
Hit the notification bell.
Yeah. Check out our Facebook today. We should have merch going up.
Mm-hmm.
So get some of that sweet, sweet high mythology merch. Yeah.
Well, we're working on that one still.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it should be up today. Yeah. It'll be up today.
Okay.
By the time you folks are listening. Not today while we're recording this, but
I see.
On today that you guys are existing in, there will be shirts available. So get your t-shirt.
Yes.
Howley Boys Productions on Facebook is probably the best way to find it. Or at Howley Boys on Instagram. Another good option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look for our website coming soon. That'll be the best way to get all of the Howley Boys stuff in one place. Yeah.
Buying shit helps us stay going.
Yeah. And
helps us keep going.
We're just going to put any money we get, we're going to put right back into this. So just expect it to keep getting better. Yeah. Well, everybody, have a good night.
Have a great night, everyone. Nice, bitch.